and welcome to another episode of Gamerheads. My name is Roger, aka Rogue Leader 76, and with me are my co-host Blue,
aka Writer's View,
and a co-host that had been on our show before, but he has his own show as well, Mike,
aka Pezman Mike.
Welcome to the show, both of you, and welcome our listeners as well. So I'll just start off by saying this, Christian is going to take a leave from the show for a while. He's got a lot in his life right now, and we talked a little bit about it, and at this point, he's going to just take a leave from the show, and so good luck to him, and I'll miss him very much. He's a good part of the show, but it's for the best that he's got a lot going on right now, so I want him to take some time off too. So
if you're listening to this, Christian, we love you.
We do. I mean, I love you like a brother, not in any other way, Christian. So
okay, that got awkward.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Anyway, welcome to the show. We have quite a bit going on in the show. I keep saying that every episode, but we do have a lot in this show. We have the review of SNK 40th Anniversary Collection. So we'll be going through that, and we have some news items, and then our hot topic this week, we'll be talking about the DLC, the pros and cons of DLC, especially around the fact that Final Fantasy 15 canceled, like 3 or 4 of their DLCs, right? So we'll be talking about that for sure. But before we get into all that, I do have an icebreaker for us. We haven't done an icebreaker in a while. So the icebreaker that I have is, do you shop on Black Friday, and are there any deals that you're looking forward to?
Shop on Black Friday, like get up at 4 a.m. and go fight the crowds in stores?
Maybe, if that's what you do.
No. There's nothing that I want that bad.
Yeah? Not even Starlink for $40, what is it, $40?
Is it?
Yeah, it's $40, yeah.
Well, what about I don't know, I like Cyber Monday much better.
Yeah.
than Black Friday.
Yeah, I do too. No, that counts. Is there anything that you're going to purchase for one of those deals at all?
What I really want and have wanted for a long time is a 3DS or a 2DS.
Oh, yeah.
And they're coming out with all the 2DS XLs that are preloaded with games. You can get like a Pokemon one, or there's one with Mario Kart, or there's one with a Zelda game. And so I want one of those, and maybe all of them. I haven't decided.
So you don't have a 3DS or a 2DS?
I do
right now?
not. And it's very, very sad, and I cry about it all the time.
It's funny because I feel like a lot of people, when the Switch came out, it was like, oh, the 3DS is dead, and the 3DS is dead. But there's actually quite a few games on there that are not on the Switch that are really, really good. And the fact that you can play DS games on there too. Like, there's a lot to that library for sure.
I know everybody on Twitter is always posting all these really cool games, and I'm so far behind in playing all of them. And yeah, but right now the 2DSs that come preloaded with the games are $150, which is, not terrible, but I'm just going to wait and see if they happen to have any better deals coming up at the end of the month.
Yeah. Nintendo even said that they said they're going to continue to support 3DS well into next year even. So, I don't know. We'll see. I think there was a Super Nintendo version, right? Wasn't there?
There is.
Yeah.
They have all these cool versions, and I don't know which one. Like, if I have to pick one, I'm just going to have to close my eyes and go eeny, meeny, miny, mo, because I can't decide. It's impossible.
Yeah. Mike, you have a 2DS or 3DS?
I'm playing my 3DS right now because...
Yeah, he was bragging about that earlier. He's like, let me just pull mine out and play it.
Yeah, because we were talking about it, and I'm like, man, I haven't played that Nintendo Badge Arcade game in a long time.
Yeah.
The one with the claw machines.
Yes.
So I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll play that before we start the show. So, yeah, I love my 3DS, and the problem is that I know Nintendo's going to release a cooler 3DS in the future,
Yeah.
but I still usually get the launch one. There's the bland single color system as opposed to the really awesome there's the Pokemon one that's out now. The Pikachu one looks awesome.
Yeah, it does.
The Zelda ones are always awesome. There's a creeper one, a Minecraft one that looks like a creeper.
Yeah, that's right, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's definitely worth picking it up, especially at that price.
Yeah, and the other thing one thing that I really liked about 3DS, and that they're not doing with Nintendo at least yet, was one that you can like customize your wallpaper, your background, especially with that claw game that you're talking about.
Yeah,
Mike, because all the things that you get in there, Blue, like the different badges, you can like customize your background with it. It's kind of cool. And just even the store is set up so much better than the Switch's store. It just still shocks me that they didn't learn from that at all. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I could really get into trouble really quickly on that store. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I mean, I would say that probably the Switch and the 3DS are probably my two favorite systems. I would still probably say the 3DS. I probably put more hours into that than anything else.
Right now, your favorite systems right now or of all time?
Probably of all time. I'd say that Switch is number one right now. Yeah, I know. It's I
like
love
400 million people just had a heart attack.
I know. And 400 million people stopped listening to us. Oh, I wish they started listening to us. No, I like my PlayStation. I just the issue is that I just, and I know this sounds so this is gonna sound like such a casual gamer. I just don't have time to sit down and play as much as I'd like to. And like even Red Dead, I love Red Dead a lot on the PS4. Love it. But I don't have the time to sit down and dedicate. Like I'm taking a week off, the Thanksgiving week, and I plan to play a lot of games during that week. But just on a normal basis, the reason I Nintendo just seems to be able to, I don't know, understand my lifestyle.
They get me, man. They get me.
They do. I don't know. There is something about it. And yesterday, this is so funny. Like, 'cause I bought Diablo 3 on the Switch, and I took in my Diablo 3 PS4 version, traded that in at GameStop. Got a whole $4.60 for it.
Worth it.
Worth it, yeah. But I was just like, I'm never gonna play it again. So on the PS4, so I turned it in. Sad.
Oh.
Mike, what about you? Are you looking forward to buying anything on Black Friday?
So I haven't done any Black Friday shopping in a long time. At least actually since they changed it to Thanksgiving Friday,
Yes.
Black Thanksgiving, whatever. I don't know what they're calling it now.
Thursday.
Yeah. Since they changed the stores to being open on Thursday. Lots of stuff I want to get, but I'm too busy, prepping and traveling. I've got, relatives that live like up to an hour away that, we gotta go out there, visit them and all that other fun stuff. And then I think the last time I actually went, it was my Xbox 360 red ringed.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
So it red ringed in like September. So I said, well, I had already invested way too much in it, and I had like a backlog and like about 100 Rock Band songs. I'm like, I'm not just gonna give up on it, and it pained me to say it, but I'm like, I'm just gonna have to get a new system. But I decided to wait until Black Friday, and it actually was Black Friday. It was midnight that Friday. So I went to Best Buy, stood outside in the cold with a 102-degree fever
Oh my gosh.
to get an Xbox 360 at a reasonable price. And that was the last time I did that. But I really want to pick up Starlink. I mean, I was tempted to get it at 75, but to be able to get it at 40, I'll take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Who is selling it at 40?
I know Target is. I think Walmart also is selling it for 40.
Oh, Black Friday on Walmart scares me.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather go to Target.
I've got my cattle prod ready.
You are so brave.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
I think I've got an in though. I've got an in. One of the Sherry, who co-hosts our show with me, she works at Target, so she's gonna be going there with her husband, bright and early, and so she's gonna get in, and she's gonna try to pick it up for me. So I get all the benefits of Black Friday without any of the work.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I try to avoid Black Friday, but there's something about it. So I used to work at Best Buy, and I've worked 2 Black Fridays before. I said this sucks a lot. But first Black Friday, the system didn't boot. And so I get there at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I turn on all the registers, and it just sat there and said, sorry, failure. And I'm like,
oh no.
freaking out. Yeah,
That's like Armageddon.
Yes, yeah. I know. And I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I'm calling the help desk, and there's nothing we can do to help you. And I'm like, there's nothing you can do to help me on Black Friday. And it finally did boot, and I was super like freaking out. But I do, now that I don't work, and this is so terrible. Now that I don't work on Black Friday, I like to see the crowds, and it's so terrible because like I was the one that was like railing against that when I worked retail. Like, this sucks. And if it wasn't for consumers, we wouldn't have to do this. And now I'm like, oh, I'm going to be one of those consumers now.
So is that to say, are you going to brave the crowds?
I think I am. Well, see, this is the thing. I feel really bad about going on Thursdays. I don't like to. If Black Friday is one thing, but going on Thursday, that's just absolutely ridiculous. Like, I hate that so much. And it just it's getting worse and worse every year. They're going earlier and earlier on Thursdays. It's just terrible. But one year, I'll just tell a quick story. One year I went to Walmart, and they had they had video games and media and stuff in the black wrap, the black saran wrap. Have you guys seen this before? They do this. Because Walmart doesn't close, so they have to do something to.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yes, everything is all wrapped.
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Yes.
I know what you're talking about.
So at like a certain time, what they'll do is they'll come through and they'll cut that open, and there are people just surrounding that. And I am not kidding. I thought I was in a zombie apocalypse because everybody just reached in, and it was like people trampling each other, and the whole thing like fell over, and all the media just dumped out, and all these people like picking it up. It was the most insane thing I've ever seen. People holding stuff and like people taking it out of their hands, like while they're like grabbing it out of the pile. I was like, oh my God, this is what the zombie apocalypse looks like right here.
Wow.
The only thing I do want to get on Black Friday, I want to get a new computer. Like, I have a computer that's been, it's outlived its welcome.
It's time to put it out to pasture.
Yes. And I tried to stream with this thing, and it's annoying, and it takes, I'm not kidding, on Sundays when I do this episode, like to compile all the files and everything, it takes over an hour for it to compile an episode, so it sucks. And yeah, so I'm like, I'm done with this. I need a new computer. So my wife said, my birthday falls right around Thanksgiving, and she said, just go get yourself a new computer for your birthday. And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, sweet.
With that kind of permission, you don't need to wait till Black Friday.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
You could just go.
I know. Oh, actually, I've been looking. I'm like, oh, wow, this one's a really good computer. Like, there's some early Black Friday sales going on right now. So, yeah. I don't know. Starlink, though, is really tempting. I mean, at $40, and I don't know. It looks really cool. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. So if neither of you show up for the podcast that week, I will know why. I will carry on without you. Don't worry.
That's right. Yeah.
You just see us getting lost in a sea of people. Remember me?
Yeah, our hands sticking up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Blue, the show must go on, so you'll have to carry Gamerheads.
Okay, yeah, you can count on me. I can do it. I'll be like, this episode is dedicated to Roger and Mike. They will be greatly missed.
Oh, man. Well, listeners, if there's something that you are looking forward to on Black Friday, or if you are for or against Black Friday shopping, I'd like to hear that as well. You can send us a tweet at GamerheadsPC. You can also email us at info@gamerheadspodcast.com. You can also go online to our new website, and that is gamerheadspodcast.com. And there is a contact page there, and you can enter in your information there, and we'll get an email about that as well. So,
Woo! New websites.
I know, and I know the site still needs some work. I'm still working on it, but we do have a couple of reviews out there and new episodes of our podcast as well. And yeah, go check that out. And then let me know what improvements needs, because I know it needs improvement. So I was working on it all last night too, so I was up really late, and then yeah, I played some Diablo too. Anyway. Let's go into the news. I have a couple items here, and if you have items as well, both of you can share your items.
I did come prepared with an item this week.
Ooh.
I know, it's a big deal. It's a big
nice. Do you want to start with yours?
deal. I can. It's gonna break everyone's hearts though.
Oh no.
If I start.
Oh no.
You're
leaving the podcast.
No. Hollow Knight. Team Cherry, the team behind Hollow Knight, has canceled the physical editions that they were planning for next year.
I saw that.
Is that not the worst thing ever?
Yes.
It's the worst thing ever.
It is. That is really sad. I really thought that, I don't know why, because they made a lot of money on that, maybe not a lot of money, but a lot of downloads.
What they said in the tweet when they announced it was that they're only a 3-person team, and so it was just too big of an undertaking for them at the time. So
yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. My fingers are crossed that in the future we may get it again, because I would so buy it. I already have it on, digitally obviously, but I would so buy it twice because it's just a fantastic game.
Yeah. Did they say, was it going to come with all the DLC too with the physical copy?
Yeah, it was going to be a complete edition.
Nice.
I mean, it may as well, because they don't charge extra for the DLC. It's all free.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. Oh, that is too bad. Maybe maybe something like Limited Run will pick them up or something.
I don't know. Somebody should.
Yeah.
It's a game that deserves a physical edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually was very tempted when that was announced and they announced the physical edition. I'm like, okay, that's the version I'm going to get. I'm not going to get it digitally. And then this coincided with the sale that the game was on the eShop. So I'm like, well, all right, I might as well. Because I'm old school. I really love my physical versions. Like, I'll always choose that over digital if I given the option, even if it's an extra like $10 or something. That's perfectly fine with me, as long as I have a nice case to go along with all my other ones. But yeah, this is really disheartening. But at the same time, at least I got a good deal on the digital version, because I haven't played it yet, but from what I understand, it's an amazing game.
It really is. You're gonna have so much fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, that actually leads us really well into my first news item. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Mike, this comes from US Gamer. PlayStation gamers in Chicago will have to pay a 9% amusement tax on not only games, but PS Plus, Music, View, and other services. And Sony was one of the last holdouts, as Nintendo and Xbox already applied this amusement tax.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
What the hell is amusement tax, Mike?
So an amusement tax is essentially retail, like sales tax that the city of Chicago is charging on essentially anything that normally doesn't charge taxes, like concert tickets, sports, Major League Sports games, or a sport, going to see like the Sox or the Cubs or something like that. And for the longest time, Sony was holding out on it. And now they're just said, okay, we'll give into it. It is such a ripoff. I mean, it's a digital. You're getting something digitally. Why do you need to collect tax on that?
Yeah.
That's right, because you're bankrupt, and overpaying on pensions, and that's a topic for another podcast. I could get into a rant. And the city is just so corrupt. If you're ever looking to move into the wonderful city of Chicago, don't.
Yeah, but Elon Musk is going to be building that what is that tunnel or what did I talk about this a couple of weeks ago? They're going to build
Pretty sure then they'll be charging a tunnel tax.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Tunnel tax.
Do you live close enough to Chicago to be underneath that amusement tax, Mike, or no?
No, luckily I'm not.
Okay.
That's in Cook County. I'm probably about 10 minutes from the county line.
Okay.
It's
Well, that's
odd
good.
to me that it's in Chicago and not the state of Illinois.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Yeah.
That
is
seems weird to me.
Mhm.
I would think I would put in my zip code in something else if I lived in Chicago and I had PlayStation.
Well, here's the thing. Not that I would recommend it, but there are people that live in these areas that put a different zip code in that don't have these taxes as well as sales tax.
Uh-huh.
So it's on top of sales tax?
Well, let me think. Is it?
So if you downloaded Hollow Knight and you live in Chicago, do you get sales tax and amusement tax?
No. It's so you get sales tax if you buy it physically, which you won't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Too soon.
Too soon. It was literally 3 minutes. Yes, that is the definition of too soon.
It's way too soon.
So no, you get the sales tax, and but if you buy digitally, you get that it's a 9% digital amusement tax. So if you buy a full priced game, you're paying like almost an extra $6.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I don't know. That's crazy. Here's the other thing. I know that you're from the great state of Illinois, and I don't mean to offend people from Illinois.
Great's a bit of an overstatement.
Okay, as long as he said it first, you're good, Roger.
Okay. I mean, I don't understand. I pay tolls to go on the roads, and the roads still are not that great. It seems like there's always like money being gouged all over the place, and with this amusement tax too. Where is this money going? I don't understand this.
It's going right into the pockets of the corrupt, those in charge. It really, I mean, honestly, it truly is. Like, I am my traffic or my commute to work has been extended by probably 15 to 20 minutes because of road construction, and there's seriously nothing wrong with the road. Like, seriously nothing at all. I feel like you ever see Michael Douglas in Falling Down?
Yes.
No.
When
Roger,
he comes,
you need to watch that.
Yes, you absolutely need to watch that. When he comes up to the guys that are doing the road construction, and he's like, "What's wrong with the roads?" And they're like, "Well, we don't need to tell you that." So he's like, "All right, I'm gonna make something wrong with the road," and he takes out a rocket launcher.
As one does.
Everybody has those.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's But yeah, it's it seriously is anything that they can do to grab as much money as possible. For they about a year and a half, 2 years ago, they introduced a sugar tax.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? The 1700s? Like, they seriously
bootleg soda pop now.
Yeah, they put an additional tax on anything that had sugar in it.
Oh my gosh.
Or any kind of and even so I drink this carbonated water, this flavored carbonated water, and that doesn't have any sugar in it, but they still put the extra tax on that because it's a flavored drink.
What?
But enough people, were unhappy about it and they repealed it.
Wow. That's so crazy.
Yeah, it's. Yeah.
I will say in Wisconsin, we don't have taxes like that.
No. Yeah, welcome to Illinois, where even your taxes have taxes.
Yeah.
I want that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that should be your state motto, actually.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Instead of the cardinal for the state bird, it's just an outstretched hand.
No, it's not. It's a boot on your throat.
Yeah, exactly.
That seems really appropriate.
Yeah. So it really, really sucks that I mean, props to Sony for holding out as long as they have and fighting this. I know Apple is still fighting it, but unfortunately it didn't work out. So those of us that live in the city limits are going to have to pay that extra money for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, let's continue with the sad news then. Prima Games is closing their doors. This is from Polygon.
Yeah.
So the company known for strategy guides is closing their doors in spring of 2019. It first launched in 1990, and unfortunately, I think I'm surprised it lasted as long as it did. I guess with the internet and such. But I guess my question to you guys: do you guys still read strategy guides? Do you collect strategy guides?
I have a handful of them, mostly from Final Fantasy games. Because I think you kind of, if you want to make sure that you do it right, like, my favorite example is in Final Fantasy 12. At one point in one of the side quests, you are awarded with a snake skin, and I sold it. I didn't know it was important.
Oh no.
And so then there was something like 40 hours later in the game that I couldn't do because I didn't know you weren't supposed to sell the snake skin.
Oh no.
So that's why you need a strategy guide in those games.
Oh no.
Yeah. I was looking through the handful of ones that I have last night, and mostly they are from Brady Games.
Oh yeah, that's true.
One of Prima's competitors. And then the one that I have that is the Prima is the collector's edition guide for Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age.
Oh, okay.
But that's the only one that I have from them.
So I think did they merge? No, I don't know. Did they? Or are they still around?
Well, why do I feel like, and I could totally be wrong, but I feel like I was reading that Penguin Random House bought both Prima and Brady. I
think you're right. I think that's what it is. I think that's what I remember too. Yeah. I this is really funny. This is this is probably the difference between like gamers our age versus gamers that are much younger than us. The very first thing I always do when I get a big game, like when I got Octopath Traveler, I was like, oh, I'll go get the strategy guide for this game, and there is no strategy guide for the game. Well, not that I saw, at least not in the stores, but I did get one for Red Dead 2, but it wasn't who was it by? I don't know. I don't think it's Prima. It's by somebody else. I'm not sure who it is, but yeah. And I only saw it at GameStop. I didn't see it at Walmart. Walmart has a lot of strategy guides too. So, yeah, I'm gonna miss that. I just like collecting the books. I think those are really cool. And just as a kid, I liked just paging through the books. Even if I didn't have the game, I just loved paging through the books and just looking at the pictures and such. So,
yeah, they're almost more like artwork collections.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad. And the sad part about it too is all the people that are losing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. It's another sign of the changing times. It's since everybody's getting all their walkthroughs from YouTube and game facts and everything like that. And it's kind of a bummer too because I lived and died by my Final Fantasy VII strategy guide. Like I read that. Like I read it like it was a book. Like I didn't just wait until I got to the point. Okay, what do I do here? Like I went into the game prepared. Same thing with Mario 64. I read that cover to cover before I even owned a Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so then I just blasted through the game. But it was just so interesting to see all these things that I would never have been aware of had I not read this.
Yeah.
But to Blue's point, yeah, I think if you're dealing with RPGs, it's almost like essential that you also are purchasing that strategy guide.
Yeah, that's why I was like Octopath Traveler seemed like a really good fit for that. And there might be a strategy guide. Maybe they didn't produce many of them. I'm not sure, but
this might be a good opportunity for a group of dedicated gamers to form a Kickstarter or something where they're making their own strategy guides for games.
Yeah.
Kind of like how that's done once Nintendo Power stopped producing episodes. There were a couple Kickstarters out there of spiritual successors, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. I would. That would be cool. I would love to see that. Just from the artwork perspective too. I don't know. It's just I like when I'm playing a game, I like to have the actual book in front of me, and I usually buy hardcover versions too. I don't buy like the soft cover versions, so that's too bad.
Well, I hopped on Google real fast, and I don't see anywhere where there's a physical book for Octopath Traveler.
Oh, okay, yeah. Boo.
Yeah,
Come on,
really. If
people.
there's anything that needed it, it'd be that.
I know. Anyway. So the next item I have here is from Kotaku, and the PlayStation Classic. You guys heard of this PlayStation Classic that's coming out?
A few bits and pieces.
What? What are you talking about now?
Yeah. So it's powered by an open sourced emulator made by fans, which was released like some 24 years ago. Comparatively speaking, Nintendo's NES and Super NES classic emulators were actually created by Nintendo. I guess my question to you both, does it bother you at all that Sony's using an open source emulator created by fans?
Not really. I know a lot of people are saying that they're not going to get the classic unless you can hack it and add games. So, I mean, if they're already using a emulator that was created by fans, it just seems like that would be much more likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, as long as it plays the games well, like they did back in the day, and there's no slowdown, well, more slowdown than normal. But as long as it doesn't mess up the integrity of the game, I got no problem with that. And yeah, I mean, if if they could find a way to get it so that I could play Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver on it, then yeah, sure. If it's open source it all the way, man.
See, here's the problem I have with it. This is, I don't know, maybe I'm just being grumpy old man Roger. But Nintendo created their own emulators, and the games emulate really, really well. I played some emulators, and I don't know much about this one that PlayStation is using. Some emulators don't play the games as well, but to me, if you're asking for money, if you're going to ask me to pay over $100, is it $100? I think it's $100.
It's
$100, yeah.
For a game, put some effort into the emulation, man. Like, that just bothers me. That just bothers me. I don't know. That's just me. And Nintendo's is cheaper too. I mean, I'm not a Nintendo. I'm not trying to be a Nintendo fanboy because I'm not. But
you just said the Switch was your favorite ever.
Yeah, but see, the difference between me and like being a fanboy is like I will like point out when Nintendo does things wrong, and I still think their online service is not the greatest, but I do think that they did this classics better. I don't know. It does bother me that this is going to be open source. It feels like they didn't put any effort into it.
Yeah, it's. Go ahead, Blue.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I guess I could see that perspective totally.
Yeah, and I'm not, and I really enjoyed my original PlayStation, and I don't know, it seems like there were a lot of missed opportunities with that, and I'm not going to get into the games because the games that's completely subjective. If there's games on there you like, that's your prerogative, but I know they wanted to keep it as original as possible, but man, I really wish they included the DualShock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that would have really, really helped out with Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have done anything for Resident Evil with those awesome tank controls, but I digress.
Yeah. The last item I have here for the news is that Microsoft, this comes from The Guardian, Microsoft purchases 2 new studios in Exile, is that how I pronounce that? Entertainments and Obsidian Entertainment. Both studios are known for their RPG games. Do you think this is a game changer for Microsoft? They seem to be going out and purchasing a lot of different studios recently.
I think they're doing the right things. They're doing what they need to do. Because, so the Xbox One is... So I held off on purchasing it, and I own the original, and I own the 360. The Xbox One is the one that I don't have, and that's mainly due to my own time. I don't have enough time for all 3 systems, but also because a lot of the games, like I know there are, if I'm going to buy a system, I say to myself, okay, what are 10 games, exclusive games for the system that I really would want to play?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not come up with 10 that, and part of the reason is because I could also get a majority of those on my PC.
Yeah.
Like for me, Cuphead would be a system seller. for me. Like I loved that game, but I could get it on my PC. So why would I spend the extra $300? You know, but
Almost, this seems like they almost cannibalize their own sales in a way.
almost, yeah, exactly. But picking up these, and I know they picked up a lot of studios that they announced over during E3 as well. And I think that's good because here's the thing: you're purchasing these studios, you're getting exclusive games for your system. When you have exclusive games for your system, you're creating competition. When you're creating competition, it means better output by all three companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, I think having it like Nintendo being as strong as it is now, right, with the Switch, and with the Wii too. I mean, they forced the other two companies not to be complacent. They have to be innovative. Yeah, anytime that you have one of the big three like doing something that's, kind of, I guess, on the cutting edge of stuff, or I guess being popular or whatever, like it forces them to be innovative. So that I agree with that. I think that's good, and it is exciting to see Microsoft going out and buying these studios, because really, I mean, really they have very few exclusives. Like you said, Mike. So I'm hopeful that this will change things in the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We got the one because I wanted to play Cuphead, and my yeah. So it's funny you would say that, Mike. I wanted to play Cuphead, and my husband wanted to play Sea of Thieves.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So we got one, and one of those games worked out, and one of them didn't.
Oh, which one?
Well, I mean, Sea of Thieves is just it's not had the longevity that I think people were hoping for.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, to be perfectly honest, we never play it ever.
Yeah.
We're always on the PlayStation or Switch, and I've actually been thinking about selling it, honestly. I know, but like, I also have like Bastion on the one, but it's on the Switch now, and I'd rather play it over there, you know. And let's see, I've got Tomb Raider on the one, but you can play that on PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I hate Microsoft with a passion. And so, like, there's just not a lot of reasons for me to hold on to it at this point. So I suppose if they're going to start investing in some exclusive RPGs, that would be a start.
Yeah. So Mike, you say you don't have an Xbox One yet, right?
I do not.
Okay. Blue, do you buy the Game Pass?
No.
See, that's only so I have an Xbox One, and I bought it. I have an original Xbox One, and I bought it on last year's Black Friday. Actually, I got it for, I want to say, like less than $100, but it was used. But I got it at a used game store, the one that Jake works at Gaming Generations, and I think I'm in the same boat with you, Blue. I don't really play my Xbox as much as I do the other consoles. I think the only thing that I do play it for is I do have the Game Pass, and I think I mentioned this before in another episode that I justify getting the Game Pass because I'm like, oh, this means I don't have to buy new games, and then I go and buy new games anyway. Like, it's ridiculous. But I did get to play Forza Horizon 4, which was good. I liked that. And I did play Sea of Thieves for like all of 5 minutes. My ship took on water, and there's something. I have a fear of water. I have a fear of like,
really?
Yeah, like I fear of whatever's lurking underneath that water. I think like in a previous life, I probably died on a ship or something like that. And and my ship was taking on water, and I didn't know that. And I like came to this land, and I went back there, and there was something like in the water floating in my boat. I'm like, oh hell no, I'm turning this off right now.
So what somebody needs to make is a horror game that takes place underwater in VR.
Nope.
And then
I'm
make
never
Roger
gonna play it. Nope. Never gonna happen. I'm never ever gonna play that game.
To throw a pun out there, you and I are in the same boat.
No.
I was playing Far Cry 3, and there was an island, and I had to swim across the island, and in the distance I saw
nope.
I saw a shark fin.
Nope.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm still gonna do it. I'm still gonna try to make my way to this island. So as I'm swimming, I dive a little bit deeper, and all of a sudden, just like in real life, the water goes from bright blue to going a lot darker, and I'm like, nope, and I turn around and went back the way I came. I'm like, I don't care what's. I am not.
Okay, I have a funny story. It's completely off topic, but I'll tell it real fast. So my husband and I went to Disney World for our honeymoon, and at one of the water parks, they have this big diving tank where you can swim with little sharks and manta rays and stuff. And the line was huge. And then, but it was moving so fast. It was incredible. And we got close enough to where we could see the front of the line where people were getting in the water. And the thing was, you basically, like, they gave you goggles with the like the snorkel thing, and you were just meant to like float on top of the water and look down on the animals that were in there. And so what kept happening is people would put the goggles on, they would lay down on the surface of the water and put their face under the water, and then they would freak out. And they couldn't do it. And so then they'd get out and they'd, turn their goggles in and they'd go. And that's why the line was going so fast. Because half the people couldn't handle putting their faces in the water like that.
Oh, that's crazy.
It was pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, not that we like watching people be terrified, but it was just, it was just not what I expected.
Yeah. Well, it's weird that it's funny that you say that, because we went, my wife and I went snuba diving. So it's not snorkeling, it's not scuba diving, it's like a mixture of both of them. Mm-hmm. And we did this in Hawaii, and so the way it works is they have a compressed tank of water and floating above you, and then you have a hose connected to you, and then you can swim underwater. You can breathe underwater, obviously. You still have to take precaution, because if you go up too fast, your lungs can explode and then you die. But
sounds fun.
Yeah. So the instructor came around and he said, put your face in the water, and then when you just take your mind can't fathom the fact that you can breathe underwater, so you have to breathe. You have to tell yourself, breathe out, breathe in for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds, breathe in for 5 seconds. And then, when I tap you on your shoulder, you can go and start swimming underwater, because obviously you get it. And I was the first one he tapped on the shoulder. And when I started swimming underwater, I freaked out. My mind, when I was focusing on the fact of breathing in, breathing out, I got it. But once I got underwater, I was taking in more and more air, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh, idiot, I could breathe. And, but that didn't freak me out though, because I was able to see what was around me. The water was so clear, and there wasn't anything that I felt like I was in, danger of. But once you get out in the middle of nowhere, and it's you look down and you can't see the bottom, nope, I'm done. I'm done with that.
Yep.
So those are the items that I had. Mike, did you have anything else?
No, the only thing I had was about the Prima Games, but you already we got that.
Okay. Well, then let's go into our game review, and this week we are reviewing SNK's 40th anniversary collection. Thanks to the folks at NIS America for providing a review copy for us, and I was able to play it. It is a Switch exclusive, I believe, and let me say, I'll just start off by saying, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I loved this collection so much. There's so many games in there that, as a kid growing up during that era, and growing up during the era of arcade games, the height of arcade games, it was so fun to play a lot of those games again. And some of those games that were in the arcades never made it to the consoles, and it was great to be able to play some of those games, and it felt so at home on the Switch. It was awesome.
So what games are included in there?
Well, there's a lot. There are 14 games on this cart. So that to begin with is 14 games, and then on December 11th, they're adding for free a DLC pack They're adding another 11 games on the 11th. So there's so many games on here. There's Crystallis. There's Ikari Warriors 1, 2, and 3. There is Prehistoric Isle, which was probably my favorite game on that whole thing. And I've never played that game before. It was so cool. It was so good. They have what was some of the other games that I
Do they have
Alpha
time?
Mission?
Do they have Time Soldiers?
I think that's one that's coming out on the 11th, actually.
Oh man, I can't. That was an arcade game I loved playing.
Yeah. I haven't played that one. But yeah, I think that's one that's coming out on the DLC pack on December the 11th. Let's see what was the other one? Oh, Street Smarts was the other one that stood out for me. It was their first SNK's first fighting game. That was an arcade game that never came to the consoles either. And these games, like a lot of them aged really, really well, like the arcade version of the games, because those graphics are like the Super Nintendo type graphics, and they were so good. Athena was another game too. That was another platformer. Oh, Cycle Soldier. I don't know if you guys ever played that one, but that was the first game that in arcade that had a like vocal track, music track. So all these games that are included on this cart have like something that they did that like was like a breakthrough moment for either video games or SNK. So that was one of the first games that had a vocal track on a game. It was cool. It was awesome to hear that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Huh.
And what's fun about the game too is that they have, like I said, they have 14 games. They could have easily billed it as more than that, because each game, I shouldn't say each game. The games that had console versions also have an arcade and a console version for the game, so you can play either or. So which really you can see like how difficult it was for the these games to be ported to a console, because the arcade versions are just way superior than the console versions. But the other thing that includes too is they have a lot of like historical aspects of the game. So there's like a museum, so you can go see all the different games that SNK had from 1978 to 1990. So obviously not all these games are part of the pack. But then they also have artwork, which was so cool. So they had a lot of the artwork, concept artwork, and then guides. Apparently there was arcade guides, but they're all in Japanese. I can't read any of them, but they're cool to look at. And then they have soundtracks for all the games too. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. It was so cool.
Nice. And then, so did a majority of them hold up over the 20, 30 years?
I would say like some of the games, like I would say the arcade version of the games probably held up better than the console versions. Like I would say like probably like I said, my favorite game is Prehistoric Isle, which was a side scroller shooter game. So if you ever played like Gradius,
yeah,
however you pronounce it,
yeah,
it plays a lot like that. Side scroller shooting, but then you're shooting dinosaurs. And so
because
like,
why not?
Yeah, why not? And these dinosaurs like take up the whole screen, and you're like, oh my gosh,
wow.
This is so cool looking. And and the ending, I'm not gonna give it away, but I was when I beat the game, I was just like, what? Oh my gosh. What an unexpected ending.
I'm gonna have to get that. I'm gonna have to do that now, because normally with the expending for the ending, you would just expect congratulations, and then that's it.
Or you get a congratulations, and then something else happens. They also offer the ability to save in these games too, which is so nice. I know, like a lot of people are gonna say, hey, real gamers don't need to have to say, I beat that game without saving it. I get it. But in today's gaming society, like having save files is, yeah, it's needed. I'll just say that. And it also has rewind capabilities too. So like if you are trying something and then you get stuck or you die, you can always just rewind it and play back and try something different.
That's been a lifesaver for me with the Mega Man collection.
Yes. Well,
I feel bad.
Digital Eclipse actually had a hand in this too, and who did the Mega Man collections too. So
there you go. I actually feel bad doing that. I'm like, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be rewinding my game. But darn it, I'm gonna. Yeah, so no, it's really cool about the whole rewind thing. I think that's especially with some of these older games, it's needed these days.
Yeah, agreed.
Because
Yeah,
we've gotten soft.
Yes, we
we
have.
have
That is a good point. We have gotten soft in our,
absolutely. And speaking of going soft, there's also a like literally a walkthrough feature on this, right?
yes, that is so cool. So you can watch the game and it will play through the game for you, and then you can jump in at any time and pick up right where that walkthrough was going.
Seriously?
Yes. That is so cool. That is so like that in itself is such a cool feature to have. I was like shocked in like I mean, you can sit there and watch the whole game if you want to. You don't have to play any of it. But
Does it work both ways? Like if you're playing through and you go, "Oh, this boss is beyond me," you just like tap out and let the walkthrough do it, and then
I
pick
think
it
so.
up after
I
the
haven't
boss?
tried it. I think so. I haven't tried it that way. I'm gonna have to try that, but I think it does. But
So it's like the equivalent of having an older sibling.
Ah!
yeah, that's right. That's right. SNK is your older sibling. It's this game is $40. Yeah, $39.99. And at just to begin with, you start with 14 games, and then another 11 games are added on the 11th for free. You just can't ask for a better value than that, in my opinion. And there's something for everybody in this game. That's what I loved about it. That there's platformers, there's side scrollers, there's RPG games. It's I mean, I would say that this collection, like I said, some of the games didn't probably age as well as others, but the fact that they included them because of the historical aspect of the games, I think anybody that's is a fan of history and like want to see like the history of gaming, this is something that you certainly have to pick up and play. Or if you're just, somebody that wants to try some of these arcade games that never made it to the consoles, this is definitely something for you as well.
Yeah, it sounds very cool. It's totally going on my list.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed all my time with the games, and like I said, I'm looking forward to when they drop the other additional games. There's just so much to do in this game, and there's achievements. I mean, the achievements are that you just beat the game, and it gives you an achievement for it. But that's for people like Christian that are looking to completionist. They're looking to beat the game too. But I will say, if you get this game and if you're a fan of arcade games, I certainly would highly recommend this game. You have to play Prehistoric Isle because the ending in that game is just my jaw dropped when it happened, and
Oh man,
there's some if you watch Jurassic World, the second one, there's some. It seems like they maybe took a page out of their book, so that's all I'm gonna say.
all right. Don't remind me of that movie, by the way.
Yeah, that's a pretty obscure Easter egg if they really did.
Yeah, it's cool. I loved that game. That was my favorite game out of the whole pack.
Nice. I'm definitely picking this up. I mean, two of my favorite games growing up were Akari Warriors and POW.
Oh yeah, POW is so good. POW, the arcade version, is so much better than the console version. And all I had as a kid was the console version. And when you get to play both of them, you get to see the difference between both of them, and then you get to play the arcade version. You don't have to plug quarters in, which is awesome.
No, Mom, I just need one more.
I know. That's actually what I said in my review is, parents would groan when they had to dish out, pockets full of quarters for these games. It made me miss the arcades though when I played these games. It really made me miss going to the arcades on weekends with my friends and playing these games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fun to be able to play them with your friends locally, so that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. This would have been really expensive, too. That's the other thing I kept thinking. Like, all these games would have been super expensive to buy individually. on your own. Just if you got like the arcade version, but even the console versions would have been really, really expensive. So this is cool that they brought it all into one cart.
Nice.
Yay, progress.
Yay,
It's
progress.
not all bad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, then let's do this. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we'll get into our hot topic. So stay tuned. Creativity wins in this colorful freestyle scooter championship. In Crayola Scoot, more tricks means more color, and color can change the world in impossible ways. So get ready to take on Scoot Legends in a rainbow of thrilling events, or grab 3 friends for a split-screen color clash. Crayola Scoot, coming to Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC in the US on October 16th. It's time to make your mark on Scoot Park.
When the universe might be in danger, who will save the day and protect the humans? Never fear, Jedamero is here to save the day. Or, at least, Jedamero will try their best. Watch out for that building, Jedamero! Jedamero, Hero of the Universe, is a relaxing journey through the cosmos, unraveling an emotional story about a giant, indestructible robot. Rocket through a beautifully stylized procedural universe and discover the history of Jedamero while jamming to a collection of down-tempo sci-fi jams. Coming to the Nintendo Switch on October 4th and available for pre-order now. Jedamero, Hero of the Universe.
Hey, this is Roger from the Gamerheads Podcast.
And this is Mike from the Controller Throwers Podcast.
Starting the week of October 14th, you'll be able to listen to both of our shows by subscribing to one network, the Gamerheads Podcast Network.
That's right. Each Sunday, you'll be able to listen to new episodes of the Gamerheads Podcast, and each Wednesday, you'll be able to listen to new episodes of the Controller Throwers.
2 great shows under one roof.
Make sure you subscribe on Podbean at gamerheadspodcast.podbean.com, or you can subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get new episodes of your favorite podcast.
The Controller Throwers and Gamerheads, a great team up just like Bonnie and Clyde.
They both died.
Thelma and Louise.
No.
Okay, Sonny and Cher?
No, not that either.
Kim and Kanye?
Close enough.
And welcome back to Gamerheads. And this week our hot topic is the DLC, pros and cons of DLC. And it revolves around the fact that Final Fantasy 15, I think they had a couple DLCs planned in the future, and the director left to go do other things. And now those DLC are up in limbo. There's one that they're going to release in March of 2019. The price undetermined at this point. But I guess it made me think, it made me wonder, like, what... Well, actually, this is your idea, Blue.
That's okay. That's okay. You can have the credit. It's your show.
As long as you put a dash with Blue's name after it when you're done.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's right. It made Blue think.
Blue think.
What are some of the pros and cons of DLC? I wrote some questions down. So one of the first questions that I had was, do you buy games with the promise of DLC? And if they don't deliver, do you feel like you got shortchanged? Like, would you feel like you got shortchanged with Final Fantasy 15 because they're not going to deliver some of these DLC packs?
Well, when it came to Final Fantasy 15 specifically, I didn't buy any of the DLC. I just was like... So on the one hand, I really, really liked the game because of the open world aspect, and I liked, doing all the hunts and running around and doing all the extra stuff. The main story sucked.
Oh.
It was really bad. And it was so full of holes. It was like Swiss cheese story. It was crazy bad.
Oh.
And then when people started saying, oh, well, if you buy the DLC, it plugs up those holes in the story. And I was like, no.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, that's no. I'm not doing that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
So when it, to answer your question, whether we buy a game expecting DLC, Final Fantasies historically, no, they've always been, complete entities
Yeah.
themselves, and this one was just different and weird. But games like Call of Duty, you do expect the DLC map packs and that kind of stuff. It helps, I think, to keep them, extend their longevity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think, Mike? Do you buy games with the promise of DLC, or do you feel like? I don't know.
Well, I go into every game expecting there to be some form of DLC, unfortunately, because that seems to be the norm now. My issue is how they choose to incorporate it. For example, if you have a game, like I know I didn't, I don't even know if I still have it in my backlog, but Mass Effect 3, didn't they offer DLC to get you the real ending?
What?
Well, they were.
It's either that or Andromeda. There was something about Mass Effect 3.
It
that,
wasn't.
like, people.
It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a real ending. I think it was a different ending because everybody was really disappointed in the ending, and then they changed the ending. But I don't think they charged for that though. I think
They
that
didn't
was
charge for
free. Yeah.
And I think, again, I probably should have done some more research on this, but I think that the current gen HD remakes of the first Dead Rising has the post game as DLC. So I don't know if
Oh,
you ever
really?
played. Yeah, have you played Dead Rising?
No.
No. Okay. So if you fulfill certain obligations, like the whole point of Dead Rising is to be played over and over again. You're expected to die a bunch of times and then
Okay.
start the game over but you still keep your upgrades and your character's progression. So like you get further and further each time you play it. But then there's one point where you get into like kind of like an after credits chapter, which goes for like another couple hours.
Mm.
And I had read somewhere that that's not included on the remake. Like you have to go and purchase it as DLC.
That's crap.
Wow, that is crap.
Now, I apologize if I'm wrong about that. So, it could be, something as, I think it all started with that horse armor for Elder Scrolls 4, I think. I don't know if they're that controversy. They offered, oh yeah, you could buy this horse armor for like $3, and it did absolutely nothing. It was just clothes for your horse.
Yeah.
And everybody was really angry about it. But now something like that is so common.
Yeah.
Like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Just the costumes are like $5 each for a costume.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
I get into and I try to have conversations with my son about Fortnite. And paying $15 for a skin.
Yes.
Are you
like,
serious? Is that how much they are?
Yes, it's like $15 just for a skin. And I'm saying it doesn't change the game. It doesn't give you an advantage in any way, shape, or form. If it was like $2 or something like that, okay, we can splurge on that every month. It just, to me, it just doesn't make sense to spend that much money on a character or $10 on a dance.
Yeah.
Like we're not spending $10. Like I'm like, look, let's get you a $10 gift card. Let's go into the PlayStation store. Let's get you a full-fledged game, plus tax, of course. And so you can play something that's enjoyable instead of just, I don't know. It's just maybe I'm just showing my age, but again, it's the way I guess that it's presented. Like, for example, a game like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, like that's DLC. To me, that's good DLC because that's constant, that's flowing. Well, it was.
Yeah.
I think Rock Band 4 still does new songs every week.
Yeah, I think they do too.
But I think so, and I think it's not cool to announce a game like, yeah, hey, this game's coming out in 3 months. Oh, by the way, 6 months later, it's like, like if it's done, if it's finished, just include it on the disc, man. I mean, even if you even if you are going to include it on the disc, don't charge us for it. Like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, that had everything on the disc. Everything was on the disc, but they were still charging for you to unlock that.
Yeah, that's
What?
ridiculous.
Yeah.
I that stuff upsets me too. But speaking of Fortnite too, Mike, they're in blue. I don't know if you play Fortnite, but they're going to have the NFL suits that you can play with.
I
Oh
saw
my
that. Yeah.
gosh. Whatever
Packers
makes you
versus
happy.
Bears.
Yeah. This year, why not? Any other year, no thanks.
But not for $15.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure the NFL ones are probably going to be more expensive too. So.
Oh yeah, you're probably
licensed.
right. Jeez, it reminds me of like when I don't know, it was however many years ago, when the light up shoes were the big thing for kids.
Yes.
And all those memes about how, no, Mom, I need the light up shoes. They help me run faster.
Yes.
And like the fidget spinners, they help me concentrate.
Yes. Yeah, it's weird. I know it sounds weird because I think I feel like such an old school gamer, I guess, or old period for complaining about this stuff. But, back in my day,
Here we go.
you didn't have to do that. It's interesting when you have a game like Octopath Traveler that comes out and says there's not going to be any DLC. This is the whole game. This is it. It's like that is the outlining thing now that they have to announce that they're not going to make any DLC for this game. It's weird. It's such a weird time.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing that like publishers have to announce no DLC. Like it should be the other way around. Like it's become the exception rather than the norm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I get what they're trying to do. I understand that the idea behind it is that you can drop DLC later on and have that game, come back in conversation, like Spider-Man, for instance, right? So it released before Red Dead, and then right before Red Dead 2 came out, they dropped a DLC saying, "Oh, remember Spider-Man? Remember how much fun you had with Spider-Man?"
And what, stuff like that I'm totally cool with. Like if you're gonna release like actual like a story mode, like additional stories, like from what I understand, the Spider-Man DLC it's just like a whole new story, and it just kind of adds on to the end of it, kind of like a post credits again. I know some people were upset with Nintendo announcing their season pass for Smash.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, we'll announce what characters and stages they are at a later date, but you can purchase it in advance. So I don't know. I think it's just the way DLC is handled. I've got no problem with it because, if you don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of DLC that should be included from the beginning, that like they've got finished, but they just decide to wait just to make some extra cash on it. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of some of these way overcharging for some of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They can't be an excuse to put out an unfinished game.
Yeah. And
then
think about that. Fortnite is an unfinished game.
Yeah. Every time you start it up, it still says early access.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, and they sell seasons, right? I mean, I don't buy into that, but they do sell seasons, right?
Yeah, they sell a season pass for their same thing with Rocket League. Rocket League started doing that too, where you buy a season pass where you earn all sorts of like toppers and stuff for your car. And but if you buy the season pass, you earn each tier faster, and you also earn more stuff.
That's silly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's getting yeah, I know. It's getting a little out of hand.
Well, that's the next question I had here. So what is the tipping point where you feel like it should be free content versus paid content? Like where's that fine line where you would say I'm okay with paying for this versus, man, this should have been free?
I think anything that takes the developer like a long period of time to do, like to put effort into it, like story expansions. Yes, I'll pay for a story expansion. That you're giving me X amount of hours more content to that games, and you put time and effort into that, I will gladly pay for that. But if all I'm getting is a new hat, then no, you shouldn't be charging for a hat.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a really cool bowler hat for Arthur Morgan, then maybe I'll. I got to expand my hat collection.
Blue, what do you think? Where's that fine line for you where you're okay with paying for DLC versus you feel like that should have been free content?
That's a good question. I think, like I definitely said earlier, if you're using the DLC as an excuse to put out an unfinished game, then I'm not going anywhere near that. But like earlier this year, I got Horizon Zero Dawn, the complete edition.
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded it. It
Yes.
was on sale for like, I don't know, $12 or something digitally. So,
The whole game, including the DLC?
yeah, I think so.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
yeah, I think that there's a lifespan of when you can charge for DLC, and then after it reaches a certain age, you should just include it because,
Yeah.
it's not, I don't want to say it's not relevant anymore, but it's kind of not.
Yeah. Well, that actually leads into my next question there, too. So a lot of games, like you said, like Horizon Zero Dawn has a complete edition or full version of the game where it includes all the DLC, and usually that comes out with a discount as well. Do you feel that early adapters are getting ripped off because of this, or do you feel it's worth getting the DLC early so you can have that experience right away? And have that water cooler talk right away, I guess.
I guess it depends on why you're buying the game. If you just really want to play it, then probably waiting 2 or 3 years, for the definitive edition to drop in price is, I mean, you can if you want to, but it doesn't seem worth it to me. But if you're like me and you just kind of never got around to it, and then you happen to see it, for a price you can't say no to, then it just really works out, and it brings new people to the game that otherwise probably would have just kept on missing it.
Yeah.
I think we're at a point right now where this is to be understood that there will eventually be DLC on just about every game. So I think if you're an early adopter, you should go into the game understanding that, and and just live with the consequences or something. What have I done? Don't even let me get into Destiny 2. We'll be here for another hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah, well, just briefly on Destiny 2, it's funny that you say that because I beat the story mode, the original story, and then the clan that I was playing with, they don't play anymore. And then when they dropped the DLC, I asked them, "Are you going to play?" And they're like, "Probably not." Like,
yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I said, like I said, I understand that why they have DLC is to try to convince people to come back to the game and extend the life of the game, but sometimes it's just, I don't know if you can overcome the fact that people have moved on. I don't know if that's the games that we live, the world that we live in for gaming right now is so different than when we were kids, because you just didn't have as much being produced as when we were kids. And I understand this is just a totally different marketing world now that we live in, that you have to try to keep your game in the forefront, right, and have people thinking about it. But it just seems like some of this stuff is just ridiculous what they do for the DLC. So with that in mind, what are some games that you think that have done DLC well, and in your opinion, and what are some games that haven't done DLC well?
Well, like I said earlier, I think Final Fantasy 15 did not do it well. And I am sorry, everybody who's super disappointed about the canceled DLCs. I really am. But they needed to give us a complete, logical story that you can follow in the game. And if they wanted to add extra adventures after that, then that would be something I'd totally support. But I am not going to buy DLC just to make the story make sense. That's not cool. But on the flip side, again, a game I already mentioned, but I think Hollow Knight did it right. Because it's the full complete game in and of itself, and then they've got so far 4 DLCs that they include with the game completely free, just to make it a better experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. What about you, Mike? What are some games that you think they've done well and not done so well?
So you know what I think South Park has done it well, where they've added additional story to their game. So like you're getting more play, you're getting more content, you're getting a few extra hours of gameplay into a game you already love. I think, I gotta jump back onto Capcom with this. I think the way that they've handled their Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I think their characters are overpriced.
Yes.
They saved a lot of the really good ones that people would really want, like Venom, for example, for specifically DLC. I think probably one of the best companies that are games that have it is Shovel Knight.
Oh yeah.
Shovel Knight, you are getting like 4 times the amount of content as the original game for nothing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If you purchase the original.
Yeah.
Is it like kind of a theme going on there, whereas the smaller independent studios seem to understand that DLC can really help them cause people to fall in love with their games versus the big studios that are just looking for money?
That's interesting. That's a good insight.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. That's absolutely.
Well, and I think it's a way that they can. That's the way that they can compete with the big dogs, right? So I mean, like, if you're a small studio and you made a game, like, it's hard for you to go on to a new game, but it's easier maybe for you to be able to produce more of that same game or that same experience because you already have that baseline already established, and you're able to, use a lot of the stuff we already built, like the framework, I guess, and be able to produce DLC for free for people and keep your game in their mind versus, maybe some of the other bigger studios where they, they'll have DLC, but it's more of a way to make money where they're moving on to something else brand new. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. If people don't love your game to begin with, then what's the point of it all?
Yeah, true. I will say, I think some of my experience have been some of the examples. I would say Hollow Knight. Like you said, Blue. I like the fact that the DLCs are free. This SNK game that just came out, I was shocked to hear that the DLC was going to be free. That was not expected and totally welcomed. I think that's awesome. I think some of the games that have done it poorly, for me, I think have been the Battlefront games, Star Wars Battlefront games.
Oh,
It's Battlefront, right? The other one's Battlefields. I always get those too confused. Yes, it's Battlefront. With their maps, I mean, oh my gosh, it's just what a mess. What a mess in their first game, and then their second game, what a mess with their DLC, with not DLC, but I guess their microtransactions. They just can't get it right, and it's hurting them. It's hurting their new games that are coming out with Battlefield. What is the one? 5?
Close, real close.
So. Yeah. So EA is struggling with that right now. And I don't know. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they won't. But it's nice to see some studios that have figured out, hey, you can continue to market your game and continue to support your game and not gouge your consumer.
Yeah. I want to throw this out there. What I said before about Dead Rising, I just checked the PlayStation Store. I didn't see anything on there about post-game content being for sale.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it's still there, if they made the change, but I'm going to find the person that told me this, and I'm going to give them a good smack upside the head. So.
All right, well, listeners, let us know what you think. What are your thoughts on DLC, first off? And what are some examples of good DLC versus bad DLC? You can send us a tweet at GamerheadsPC. You can go on Facebook at gamerheads.com. I'm sorry, facebook.com/GamerheadsPodcast. You can also go on our new website. That's gamerheadspodcast.com. And you can click on Contact Us and you can fill out information there. And yeah, so before we go, how can people get a hold of all of you? So Mike, we'll start with you. How can people get a hold of you and listen to your show?
Sure. So our show is called the Controller Throwers Podcast, and we are every Tuesday night. And that's at twitch.tv/TCThrowers. The show goes live on the Gamerheads Podcast Network every Wednesday. So you can just search just go to gamerheadspodcast.podbean.com or go to the new and awesome website to find our show. We also stream on Twitch as much as possible. Every Saturday night we do a Perler Bead show at 8 o'clock. So go ahead and go to, again, twitch.tv/TCThrowers.
Awesome. And Blue, how can people get a hold of you?
The easiest way is on Twitter. My handle is @WritersView. It's spelled with a Y, so WRY. And then I also have a website, which is writersview.com.
Nice. And as I mentioned before, you can follow us on Twitter at GamerheadsPC. You can also follow us and subscribe to us on Podbean at gamerheadspodcast.podbean.com. I should actually put that link on our website too, that people can subscribe to us there. You can go to our website at gamerheadspodcast.com and you can see the newest episodes. You can read our reviews. You can listen to all our episodes there as well. Well, at least the last 10 episodes, I should say, of all our shows that are part of the Gamerheads Podcast Network, video game podcast network. And yeah, Mike and I have a show as well called the Buy It or Leave It, where we talk about the games that are coming out for the week, and we mention whether we would buy it or leave it. So our new episode, we missed this past Friday. I was just super busy, but our next episode will launch Friday. Yeah, this next Friday, and we'll talk about the games that came out for the week. So stay tuned for that. Until then, keep playing games, and thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
So long.